Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be present here to introduce our research work. My name is Xuanbo Huang, a student from University of Science and Technology of China. This is joint work with the University of Kansas and the Fordham University. Today, I'm going to talk about some security issues of the delegation mechanism in the email systems. I would like to introduce this work in 5 portions. Firstly, to provide a background of email transmission, it's important to understand that SMTP serves as a basic protocol for sending emails. However, the original SMTP protocol lacks authentication of the email sender, thereby allowing any user on the internet to impersonate others to send emails. To address this problem of email sender authentication, researchers have actually developed various security extensions such as the SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. To illustrate this, SPF focuses on the validating the sending IP address within the email envelope, while the DKIM ensures that the email's integrity with the signature, with the digital signature. DMARC is built on SPF and DKIM, verifying the consistency between the MIME-FROM field and the address authenticated by the SPF and DKIM. It seems that these security extensions can cover lots of aspects of the source authentication of the emails. However, the problem of these security extensions is they are not designed for the delegation mechanisms of the email. So what is the delegation? The delegation is a widely used mechanism in email systems. This feature allows the email sender to authorize other individuals to represent them in dispatching their emails. To distinguish between the email author and the delegate, IFC has specified 2 header fields to identify those entities. The from field indicates the real author of the email, and the sender field actually shows the email delegate. For example, the right figure shows a difference from the from field and the sender field from a client point of view. When receiving an email, the sender field is displayed in something gray in lots of the email clients. However, although the extensions focus on lots of aspects of the email authentication, the sender field is not validated by any security extensions, which actually motivates us to do this work. In this paper, our focus is on can the delegation mechanism being exploited in email spoofing attacks. So what is the email spoofing attack? The email spoofing attack is that an attacker tried to impersonate someone to send emails to convince Bob that the email is coming from the Alice. Let's give a direct example. This is the A4 attacks of our paper. This is a successful attack that we could see that the adversary has successfully impersonated themselves to be admin at google.com to a victim that uses the 139.com email providers. When the recipient checks the email on the Gmail client, he will find that this email looks like a totally legitimate email because there's no extra information that indicates the attack, the email comes from an adversary's perspective. So, how to launch such attacks? We will dive into some details. Next, before talk about the security issues, let us talk about the attack model of this paper. Our attack model includes 3 entities. The Alice is the trusted author, and the Bob is the receiver. In other words, Bob is the target. And the attacker Eve aims to impersonate Alice and send an email to the target. We assume that the attacker has conducted a personal email server that can directly launch SMTP sessions with target servers. Therefore, the model can naturally pass SPF and DKIM for the following reasons. Firstly, the attacker does not modify the SMTP commands, which helps evade SPF and DKIM checks. And secondly, since the sending domain is fully controlled by the attackers could allow them to deploy correct policies to pass these authentications. And lastly, the authentication results are not apparently displayed to the receiver. So as a result, we exploit the new issues within the email delegation mechanisms that can be exploited to implement these spoofing attacks. This part, I will introduce our main findings. There are several security issues within the delegation mechanism. First, the protocol issues. As we mentioned above, the sender field is neglected by most security protocols and can be arbitrarily spoofed by the attackers. And the second one comes from the implementation issue. The various email providers and clients have different implementations of the delegation mechanism according to our findings. So we did launch a measurement study on 16 mainstream providers, multiply 20 different clients. So let me explain what is the provider and what is the client. The email provider is who offers the email service, like the gmail.com and outlook.com. And the client is what we use to read the emails. For example, we sometimes use the web interfaces to read our emails. Sometimes we use applications on our phone for the emails, for reading the emails. Firstly, as illustrated in the figure, the sender field lacks authentication and can be arbitrarily fabricated by the attackers. What's more, the spoofed sender fields are typically ignored by the majority of mainstream providers. The measurement study results have shown that the emails with such spoofed sender can reach the inbox of all tested email providers, with only 5 of them taking protective countermeasures, such as the NetEase email. The remaining 11 providers, including Gmail, will leave the spoofed sender field unchanged in the emails. Thereby, it's enabling the attackers to fabricate the email delegate information to show to the receiver. And the second vulnerability is the inconsistent implementations. As for the web interface, 6 providers do not expose the delegate to the receiver, while the providers who expose this delegation have various implementations, as shown in the left figure. For example, although the IFC defines the sender field as the delegate, Gmail shows the return path as the delegate. However, some other services providers have self-defined policies to implement the delegate showing. However, when you're using Gmail service on different client applications, the inconsistent will cause some issues, some security issues. For example, some of the clients are unable to pass the return path and the self-defined delegation information. This inconsistency in handling delegate information can lead to potential security issues. So combining these mentioned issues with protocol and implementation, we have summarized the 3 different attack cases. The first attack case is that the receiving servers do not modify the spoof sender field, and the clients will display the wrong email delegate to the receiver. For instance, the web interface of 139 email can expose the correct attacker's address, but does not alter the spoofed sender field, while the specific clients such as NetEase can only parse the spoofed field. This creates an opportunity for attacker to exploit the vulnerability to deceive receivers by spoofing the emails. The case 2 is receiving servers. Although the receiving servers modified the sender field as a countermeasure, as a protective measure, however, the clients does not show the email delegate to make the defense ineffective. For example, providers such as the NetEase will take protective measures to modify the spoofed sender field in emails, but the client in Gmail do not expose the delegate to the receiver, which makes the protective measures from the server ineffective. And the case 3 highlights some issues with the web interface. On the one hand, some providers do not show the delegate. For instance, we have mentioned like the mail.com, which may raise potential risks in mail spoofing. On the other hand, some providers with spoofed sender fields some providers use spoofed sender fields as delegates, such as qq.com. An example is provided in the right figure, where when passing an email without spoofing sender field, the interface will correctly expose the attacker's address. However, when a spoofed sender field is present, the web interface may not display the email accurately, and they lack the information of the attacker that the attacker actually delegates this email. Next, we give part of the result of a paper. Due to the time limitations, the detailed results of measurement study, please refer to our paper. The main conclusion of our experimental test are as follows. The experimental results reveal that half of the providers and all clients are affected, highlighting the effectiveness of our attacks. In the last part, we summarize some defensive measures to mitigate such spoofing attacks. Actually, we need a validation scheme for the spoofed sender field. Considering relay servers in actual email transmission, we believe that the delegate is consistent with the mail from command with the first SMTP session. So we suggest to modify the spoofed sender field during the first SMTP session. And considering some realistic situations, we have developed some validation scheme. Please refer to our paper for more details. And finally, we have summarized some security suggestions for both email clients and the users. As for email clients, we recommend implementing the strategy to expose the email delegate, which may be effective in exposing the attackers. And we also suggest that parsing the header field utilizing the web interface in mainstream providers as a delegate. Moreover, it may help to display a warning message when the email has inconsistent delegate sender field with the from field and other things. For the email users, we suggest checking the important emails more on web interface because according to our findings, the web interface is less vulnerable than the different clients. And finally, we also suggest that to check the email content with the attackers of the important emails. Thank you. That's all my presentation. And any questions?